hard. What I've found through numerous trial and error is sit down in front of the TV while the news is on or something, because it's going to take about a half an hour for that to cool, and you want to be stirring it constantly. So I use a popsicle stick. I'll sit down watching TV, listening to the radio or something. I just keep stirring it back and forth. As it starts solidifying, you'll scrape the sides and work that in. And if you have the patience to do it that way, you're going to have just a very nice paste. Now, you're using the boiled linseed oil, which has the okay, now I'm missing the word there, the catalyst or whatever to harden it, and the carnauba wax in itself. So, extremely food safe. I mean, I don't want to, but you could just put that in your mouth and eat it. It's not going to hurt you. Carnauba wax is the wax. It's the secret behind M&Ms. Why they melt in your mouth, not in your hands, is they coat them with carnauba wax. Carnauba wax is used a lot in different confections and candies. It's also used in lip balm. So it's extremely safe. The walnut oil also we know is organic and safe. So why am I using it on this? Because it's easy to apply. It has nothing to do with food safe. But I'm not going to put it on the backside just because I don't need to. I'll let that smoky flavor and stuff build up on that. So to put this on, I actually just use my hand or my fingers and I'll smear it on. And I'm just working that in. Now you can see why those who like cherry, how it picks up that nice rich coloration. For those of you that aren't totally familiar with cherry, one of the beauties of cherry is a year from now, that's probably going to be twice as dark. It continues to darken through oxidation. Put a little on there. All right, so I've put that on. Experience here. I'm not going to turn it on at full speed. I'm going to turn the speed down first. I've got marks on my ceiling that tell you that I learned that from trial and error. So I'm just going to make sure I've got it smoothed out, and then I'm going to speed it up faster and faster. I'm going to speed it up to full speed, and I'm just going to hold the paper towel on. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you can see the gloss starting. Worked in, it's melted. And that's my finish. It's that quick. Again, the carnauba wax, the beauty of that is everybody asks me when I'm at a gallery or a show is it food safe? For those of you who hadn't heard that, food safe goes in two different categories. It's either ingestible, meaning you can take it in and it's going to pass through, or it's digestible and it'll break down. So the walnut oil is the breakdown. Carnauba wax is the other. All right, basically that's finished there. For consistency, like I say, I buy those bulk, so I know I've got it. It fits in there real nice. And the 1 inch, it makes sure that it doesn't protrude out the bottom. So the person using it, there's a little air space there. If there's some hot ambers in that, when they take it off the glass and set it on the countertop or a combustible surface, there's enough space there that I'm comfortable that it's not going to be a problem. All right, so that was that. The last thing I'll show you then is the lid. When I buy this, like I'd mentioned that I buy an 8-foot plank. It comes at about 2 1/4 from the sawmill, and random lengths because typically today a sawmill is going to keep it in a natural edge form. Because either people are going to want it in the natural edge or they want just the heartwood. But he doesn't take the extra time to take that off. If you want to buy it, you can take that edge off. So when you buy it that way, there's a lot of areas where you can pick up another about a 3-inch piece that I'm going to make the lid. My point is this, where I'm going with this is I want the lid to be from the same tree so that the colors match and blend. It doesn't have to be. That's my personal thing. It has nothing to do with function. It's aesthetics. You'll get a customer, I'm sure if you had a cherry one and put a black walnut lid on it, they're going to say, oh my God, that's beautiful, I got to have it. So in everything you do, if you're going to market your stuff, market it because you like it, that you did it because it appeals to you. If a buyer comes along and has the same thoughts on it, great. But when you start trying to guess the market and make it because you think people want it this way or that way, it's not fun. You know, then you find that you're explaining. Anyway, I just lose some of my joy when I try to guess the market and try to do that. All right, so real quickly on the lid. What I did on the lid is the same thing I did on the square, putting a square piece on and turning it round. What I did do, it's still my favorite live center is, well, it's either from One Way. One Way does not make these themselves. It's made by somebody else because you can Powermatic on it. I've seen it with Robust on it and all the different companies. But the center point is a tapered fit and you can knock that off. When you buy it, it comes with a ramrod that's supposed to work, and I just take a screwdriver and pop it out. So that point comes off. I don't want that point. This is going to be the cover, the top of my lid. And if I use this with the center point to put it on, I'm going to either have to cut up at least 1/8 of an inch to get below that point, but even further than that, because what that's done is compress fibers, and when you think you're all done and sanded it, you start putting a finish on, those fibers bounce back and it's a blemish. So you take that off and you just use the cup part. And that's by design by the manufacturer. And there's many different reasons why you want to take that point off, such as finding the center. With this, if I use that and took it off the lathe and went back and it's warped or distorted or changed shape for any reason, all I can do is go back to that same hole. But when I've got the cup, that cup, I can move it a 32nd of an inch over and reset it, and it'll bite. And that's why it was designed that way. So that's how I started out, taking that off and just using the cup, so that I don't have to worry about taking a lot of material off that. I made the tenon to fit the chuck size that I know. I don't want it, nothing super magic about it. I'm going to go into this the same way I did before, going into the side, not the end grain. And I'm going to use a little bit of my experience and see if I can embarrass myself by going too small. But I want to make a tenon that's going to fit into that inch and 1/8. That's right, I buffed it at that high speed. So I'll bring that down to about the 1500 grain. So again, I'm going to just plunge right into the side. I'm not going to go too deep because I want to make sure I've got it fitting my cover before I start plunging too deep to make the tenon. And just at that point I can stop and just double check it.
Isn't that 2 inches and something? 2 inches and 3/8?
1 3/8 and 2 1/8.
Yeah. I don't know. My point here is just that I'm still large enough that I didn't go too small. It doesn't fit on it yet. So that's a good thing. I'll take it down a little bit more. Right about there. Now I'm not looking for that top removal. I want it to be a little bit loose. I've had some that I turned too tight and the person came back and said, I can't get cover off anymore, so I'll take care of it. And took a little more material off and it fit. But I also don't want it too loose. Yeah, it's just one of the, again, I'm making it this way because I like it this way. I like it to be a nice snug but not too tight fit. If it's too wobbly, to me, that's a craftsmanship issue. If that person that did it likes it, good, but I want mine tight. So I know now that I'm close to the side, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I just want that tenon or that native surface to sit nicely on the container. I'm putting a little bit of a taper to it so you can put it up to it and it drops right down on it. So right there I'm tight, I'm getting a little bit of a wobble. I got plenty of material there. So what I will do is continue my taper out a little bit to tighten it up. I don't need it that deep, so I'll clean that up a little bit. Check it again. So a little wobbly. That's the curse. You try to get perfection. So I want it to have a little bit of a taper, like I say, so it finds its center real quick and easy for the user. So there, I'm not getting any movement. But also I'm going to be using that as a fixture to create the top of my piece. So before I do that, I'm going to just give me a little guideline there. I'm going to put this on like so with the pencil. And that tells me how much material I can take away. Does the camera pick that up or not important? So I just put a pencil line with the outer limit is there. And I will create that little bit of a taper out to match the aesthetics that I'm looking for. Okay, now I'm a little bit beyond by design of that ridge that I want, so when I turn it around I don't have to measure again, I can just turn it off. Alright, so I made that tenon quite large on the outside so that I have material, and that'll all come off. Alright. So it's on there. One of the things that I've learned is I keep my tool rest kind of close because I'm locking that jaws onto the taper. So if I got a catch or something, it's probably going to go flying. So it won't. But by keeping my jaws there, it stops it, and I have had it happen, it just drops down. All right, so now I'm just going to create kind of a dome. Why a dome? Because I like it. So we took all of that compression where the cup of the light center was. So you should have no blemishes. I'm going to take that off a little bit with my tool. Turn that speed down. We'll go to the sandpaper. Take a look, looks good. Now that cup mark is off, so I'll just sand it with the drain a little bit. I'm not really looking for any type of a high furniture type finish on this. It's a functional piece, it's the utility thing. So I'm not worried about that. So again, I'll just go back to my home brew. Schmuck it on with my hand, smear it out. So if I were to use just Mahoney oil or the walnut oil, it takes a lot of effort to make Mahoney oil a finish, and Mike himself, Mike Mahoney, says that's not what it's intended for. It penetrates, and he has a product similar to this, the wax that I just smeared on there, except he used a little bit of beeswax in his, and I just don't like beeswax, it's too tacky. And, I found that beeswax is soft enough that if you let something sit in the sun that was finished in beeswax, it may not be a finish, you know, by the end of the day. All right, so I'm just going to buff that in. All right. Now, a lot of them out on the internet that you can buy do not have a lid. The people that are using mine tell me that they like the lid because they can sometimes recycle the shavings, or just the fact that I've got that ridge that's going to sit flat on a surface. It's not going to touch, so I'm not going to burn that surface, but I'm also creating kind of an airlock. So by the time they take that off and get the drink ready, it's smothered, taking the oxygen away and that dries out. So on I do not sell the torch with it, but this is the torch I usually send people over to Menards to get. It runs about $11 with their 11% discount. Yeah, I know. But be aware that any torch that you buy does not have the gas in it. So you're gonna have to buy a refill right away. But to show you real quick, I dropped that in there. I'll go down to my floor. I don't need any more chips, but again, that's all I'm using. I had one person that requested apple. I did apple for her. I had another person say they wanted maple. And when I talked to them after the fact, they said, didn't really notice any big difference. I had somebody tell me what they're using is their smoker pellets. And those apparently work too. And, but it just takes a pinch. That's probably more than I need. And to give you an idea how that works is, so then I would just use my torch, put it straight down. I got that flame going, I put the cover on, you can see the glass start filling with smoke. Now, there's different ways of doing this too. If you went to one of the waitresses at the Oceanic restaurant in Minneapolis, said that's a very common drink is the Smoky Manhattan. What that bartender is using has a maple board behind the counter. He takes the torch, burns the wood, takes the glass, empty glass, turns it on top, and sets the glass on there while he starts preparing the rest of the drink. And then when he's ready, then he takes the glass over and put it on. She gave him one of mine, and he said he loves it because part of the ambiance is when you take it and you're going to give that to your customer and slide it across, you'll see the smoke coming off, and that's kind of the selling point of it. So some others have said they smoke the empty glass, and what they like about that is it's about as duration as what I just did. And then when they drink it, they'll give it a little rotation, and they're taking the smoke off the wall of the glass. Others have said they leave it up to 5 minutes, and it infuses the liquid with smoke. So this is one of those fun things that you're supposed to, have fun experimenting. Yeah.
How much do you sell those for?
They're at the Paramount for $35, and if anyone is interested, I do have some here that if you'd like to buy one from me, you can knock off $10 today. I will also be willing, because of my experience struggling to find the screens, I have extra screen, I buy in bulk. If anyone is interested in making one at home and would like to buy a screen from me so they know that it's gonna fit the inch and 2 1/8.
2 3/8.
So. You know it's gonna work.
When you're
I
turning
didn't
these
know what
out,
your-
how long does it take to turn one out for you?
When I'm doing them, I've got them, all the blocks cut out. I've got everything ready to go, it's laying out. And I would say I think I could honestly say about 10 minutes.
6 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nothing to, to me, my selling point on that is that they're consistent. I get a rhythm going. If I were to do a one-off, it would take about as long as it did here. But when I'm doing it in a group, I love doing that. I grew up in an environment that efficiency is measured by footsteps. If I have to walk over to this thing and take 2 steps over there, move the damn box over 2 steps and reach, that's how we built our production facility. Okay, with that, any other questions on that?
So basically you do your basic shaping and your drilling sequentially all the way.
No, that's a good question. I don't. I have it all sitting there, but I will take and finish one
Okay.
all the way through, except for the lid, because I've got everything set up. I got 2 chucks that have both drill bits on. I just pop the next chuck in, but then I go back and do the lid because it's silly little things, but to me, that's why we do what we do, is because you want to show your craftsmanship. So I want that lid. Of the whole thing, it's probably the lid that I find the most joy in making. It's just silly, but it is. So then I will do those last. I'll fit them, and then this is how I sell them. I wrap them with stretch wrap so that I make sure that you're getting the lid that I made fit yours, because it can vary a little bit. And, okay, but anyway, any other questions?
The reason for not finishing the base and the interior?
I just felt like it's wax. I don't know if the
Plain
heat
heat.
would melt it. I just didn't want to, I don't know that there's a reason why or why not.
Does the base get seasoned?
That's what I figured. It'll eventually start taking on the smoky flavor.
It'll get smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Joan, my sister, and her friend Bob, you've used it. Do you have any points on how to?
I have not used it yet.
Okay.
I've watched it, but I have not used it.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, they're very popular. I probably would say that I'm reaching that 200 pieces. They're very popular in the younger college crowd type people, and I get calls and say, hey, we're getting married next month. Any way I could get 12 of them, I want to give them to the wedding party as gifts. So, cool.
Good. Thank you.
Anything else? Thanks, Barry. Thank you all for coming. See you next month or at a work meeting. Or open night, so.